Thank you for clicking on another video as we move into week 9 of Remakeathon. It is a marathon of talking about these movies and their remakes, so let's get straight into it. This week we are looking at 1990's Total Recall and 2012's Total Recall. We got Colin Farrell, we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger here, and let's dive into what the plot of these movies are, as mainly the setting is one of the biggest differences between these two movies. So I'm going to start with the 1990 Arnold Schwarzenegger one. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a man who kind of lives an average life. He decides one day, after work, to go to a business called Total Recall. Basically, they implant vacations into your mind. One of their newer packages is to implant kind of more cinematic vacations. Instead of just doing a typical, like, lying on the beach vacation, you can be a spy. You can do that kind of stuff. And Arnold goes, yeah, I want that. I want to be a double agent. So they implant the memories. He goes home and his wife attacks him, believing that he's figured out that he is a double agent and that Total Recall has opened up the memories that have been suppressed. He then travels to Mars because that's what he tells himself to do. He finds a recording of himself and he tells him to go to Mars. Again, that's the biggest difference, is that this one, he goes to Mars. In the 2012 remake, it all stays on Earth. Earth is just basically separated into an upper and lower kind of thing that has a lift that goes to the core. Anyways, Arnold goes to Mars to help the Resistance, only to find out that he's a double agent! What?! And he's actually had his mind wiped to go help the Resistance, but he actually works for the big evil corporation that is trying to take over and destroy Mars. He fights with this fact until he realizes he is for the Resistance and helps save Mars and actually get it terraformed so people can walk on the surface and don't need to live in domed cities. In 2012, they remade the movie with Colin Farrell. It follows the same plot. Farrell goes to Total Recall. He gets the implant, but instead of actually going home and things starting to go weird, he's actually... people break in during the implantation process. So it has to be stopped, or he's told it's stopped, and it kind of starts the whole, he's an agent, he's a spy, and they're afraid something, it's going to be released in his head, and it basically follows the whole thing, except again, it takes place on Earth instead of in Mars, and he's trying to save the slums of the Earth, which are now basically one continent. Well, the rich end of the Earth is on the other side of the planet and is its own continent, and people from the slums take a giant express train through the center of the Earth to get to work. It's kind of interesting. That's really the biggest difference. Otherwise, it still follows the general beat pattern. Along the way, a lot of people who you meet early in the film, before he goes to Total Recall, show back up to try to talk our main character, Arnold and or Colin, into giving up what they're doing, or they're trying to be told that it's all this Total Recall stuff in their head, and that they need to wake up. He's never sure if he should believe it because, well, he doesn't know if it's real or if this is just the memory he's paid to have implanted. Which is the most interesting part of these movies. Really is that idea of, is this all actually happening? Is he really a double agent who had his mind wiped multiple times to try to fight a resistance and help a resistance? Or is this all just this implanted memory? And neither movie really gives an answer. That's one of the biggest things. And that's what I like about both of these movies, is that neither one gives an answer of if it's real or is it recall. Because that is one of the questions, and it actually is a tagline for the remake, is it real or is it recall? Because it is. It's a valid question. Is what's going on just this implant, or is it actually true? And it leaves it up to the audience to decide. Now, how do I feel about these movies? I haven't really talked negatively about either one. I know most people think the 2012 version is the lesser of the two. I disagree. I like the 2012 version. I've watched the 1990 version since I was a kid. It's not bad. I don't mind it. I just don't think it's that great. I think it's kind of just there, and, Woohoo, Arnold. I prefer the 2012 version. I like the story more. I like the way it builds itself. And honestly, I kind of like Colin Farrell more than I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Again, I'm not going to crap on the 1990 version because the 1990 version is good. It's still a good movie and it has its merits. But that's really all I got to say on these movies. It was just one of those things. I got into a conversation with someone, and this is kind of what started this entire thought process, were these two movies. And how there is this huge gap of people who really like the 1990 and absolutely hate the 2012, or they love the 2012 and absolutely hate the 1990. I fall into I prefer the 2012. If I'm going to watch a version, it's going to be the 2012. But I have nothing against the 1990 version. So that's what I got. So we got one more week of Remakeathon left, and it's kind of transitioning us a little early into my 2 months of Halloween. Because I like horror movies, and I want to talk about a lot of them. I'll get into that a little more next week. Next week, however, before I get into all of that, what I'll actually talk about is technically 3 movies. Now, it is a movie, and it's remake, but its remake was in 2 parts. I'm going to be covering 1990's It, the TV miniseries, and 2017 and 2019's It, and It Chapter 2. I'm excited. Those are some good movies. So, join us, check it out, hit subscribe, so you know when this channel updates itself. Like this video, leave a comment in the comment section if you've got anything you want to tell me. Tell me I'm an a-hole, tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Go right ahead, that's what the comment section is for. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you next time. Later days.